This conference has been planned to be held just before the Aries Libra full moon on April the 6th, also known as the Sacred Festival of Easter in the West. And of course, we know that Aries is the first of the three major spiritual festivals of the year, celebrating the Christ, followed by the Taurus full moon a month later, known as Wesak in the East, celebrating the Buddha. And of course, we know that the Gemini festival, which follows Wesak, is known as the Festival of Humanity. So these first three festivals of the new spiritual year set the tone for the following 9 months after Gemini. So it's a very important thing. In Aries, we plant the seed. It's the first sign of the zodiac. It represents planting the seed idea, blazing a new trail, pioneering new vistas of thought, and treading the path of daring. And so the horoscope for this conference is time for 11 a.m. GMT. And if you could put up the slide, please, for that chart. Those of you astrologically inclined, this chart has 4 placements in Aries: Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and Chiron, considerably amplifying the Aries themes, especially with Jupiter on its 12-year cycle, ruler of the second ray of love wisdom, of course, in the sign of Aries, which brings through it the first ray of will or power. So we have some very unique energies at our disposal to kickstart the new year, so to speak. So we find also that the moon is in Leo, bringing in the will to illumine, especially as it is conjunct one of the pole stars, pointer stars, called Merak, which we are told by the Tibetan master, quote, begins to make its presence felt. A sense of right direction or guidance is registered by the disciple upon the path, and such guidance, when followed, leads the seeker nearer to the hierarchy. So we have, excuse me, for this chart, we have Cancer the crab is rising, or the ascendant, bringing in a very feminine complement to the very masculine Mars-ruled Aries. Yet Mars happens to be placed in Cancer right now. And I've written a piece about this in my recent newsletter that you can find on my website. Of course, we know that Cancer is the mother, the nurturer, the home, family, and hence, in these next few days, we move forward together as a spiritual family of seekers. Neptune, the esoteric ruler of Cancer, is placed on the mid-heaven of this horoscope, dominating it, in fact. And we know that Neptune is the visionary, the mystic, and the principle of buddhi, or intuition, direct knowledge. So together as a group, we can vision the future with the aid of Neptune, using the esoteric teachings, which are symbolized not only by Jupiter, but also Uranus, which in this chart is aspected by a square to the Leo moon. In fact, as we say in esoteric astrology, the moon most likely veils Uranus in this horoscope. So, also most significant is Pluto's recent entry into the first degree of Aquarius, group work and cooperation, in the 7th house of relationships. Pluto here has the capacity to transform relationships and transcend differences through cooperative endeavors. So, we might come back to this horoscope later in the conference, but for now, this is a brief sketch of the energies with which we can align and utilize in the next 4 days, which of course lead up to the April the 6th exact full moon time. And so now to the meditation that we'll be conducting every day of the conference. I'm just going to share my screen to the PowerPoint. link here. I can find it. And here it is. Can everyone see that okay? All right.
Yes.
And so, just a moment on my notes. So we'll be conducting this meditation first thing every day of the conference. And it's an esoteric meditation requiring an individual and group alignment, followed by various visualizations. And there will be changing slides in the PowerPoint presentation that I have up on the screen right now that you can follow if you wish during the meditation, or you can just simply choose to close your eyes and follow the guided voice for the various visualizations. But the PowerPoint presentation will be handy in terms of getting visual keys for some of these things that we're going to be talking about related to European unification and global unity. For instance, the first 3 slides will remind us about this planet's 5 planetary centers, what Europe actually is, and also looks at the centers we call Shambhala, hierarchy, and humanity. So do not worry if you cannot take it all in for now, as these themes will be expanded upon in various conference presentations and through this meditation held every day. I know a lot of you are experienced, however, with these meditations, but just for newcomers, don't be too concerned that you may not be able to get a handle on everything in this first meditation. This conference has sought to engage with some of the most challenging themes on the planet. Our group of presenters span a spectrum of viewpoints on Europe and the Western nations. Hence, after this meditation, there will be another short meditation led by my good friend Gabbay, related to building a safe basket for this conference, and who I will introduce a little later on at that point. So, just find my presentation. Here we go. There's going to be a few things I'm going to reinforce throughout this conference, because it takes a few ploughings of the field, so to speak, to really get an understanding of some major concepts that lay the foundation in many ways of this conference, the foundation of energies of countries, nations, and of the 5 planetary centers in this case. This diagram will be repeated several times throughout the conference, but all I want to draw your attention to at this point is the 5 planetary centers. New York, over here where my mouse is hovering. London, of course, which is a bit hidden behind all these lines. Geneva, Darjeeling, Tokyo. At the full moon meditations, we send energy through these centers, and the energy is distributed by the various astrological and radiological influences of these centers to the entire planet. So they're like our 5 planetary chakras. But we'll come back to this diagram frequently to explain some of the more intricate parts of it. But bearing in mind, as you can see where my mouse is circling now, that Geneva covers all of Europe, including Britain, where London, another major centre, is placed, and of course Russia. So we move on to the next slide, and here is Europe. Some people do have a vague idea of what is Europe. It might be just Britain and France and Germany for a lot of people, just where I'm circling my mouse right now, and Italy. But of course, that's Western Europe. We have Northern Europe up here with Scandinavia and parts of Russia. We have Eastern Europe, Russia, Ukraine, Romania, and even parts of Turkey, of Western Turkey, Greece, Italy, etc. So that is technically and spiritually, actually, Europe. All right. And of course, many Western countries, such as USA, Australia, and New Zealand, are Europe transplanted, essentially, as we'll also discuss throughout the conference. And in this slide here, we just remind you of the planetary centers because we were asking you to visualize and direct energy or connect with these three major centers known as Shambhala, the planetary crown or head center, hierarchy, the masters of wisdom, the ashrams of the Christ, that represent the planetary heart center, and of course humanity, which represents the creative throat center. And particularly this bridging circle here, the Ajna center, which is the new group of world servers, the spiritual agents, so-called, which many of us here are members of in some capacity. But of course, in humans from all walks of life constitute this particular bridging center between hierarchy and humanity. So the shorthand for the new group of world servers is NGWS. So when you see that written or someone saying it in a meditation where we're urged to visualize ourselves within the new group of world servers, the Ajna center of the planet, the bridge between hierarchy and humanity, you'll know what that is. All right. So let us proceed to the meditation. And I left my bowl out there in the living room. Can someone bring it in to me, please? Thanks so much, Natalia. Cheers. Got to have the bowl to toll. So, let us release the activity of the morning, the day thus far, and come into quiet alignment individually and as a group. We will sound the Om 3 times, imagining our group today standing in a unifying circle of radiant light, connected heart to heart and mind to mind. And so we move into that silent place within the heart as we sound the Oms and toll the bowl. And so we visualize the light of the group personality, cohesive, integrated, and aligned with the greater radiance of the group soul. directing our combined light, emanating outward in service toward the unification of Europe. And so we vision the group soul anchored within the new group of world servants, the planetary Argent Center, the bridge between hierarchy and humanity. The new group of world servers serves as the eye of Sanakamara, sitting in Shambhala, watching over the world. We then extend a penetrating laser light through hierarchy into Shambhala, the center where the will of God is known. And we invoke the Lord of the world and the right precipitation of the planetary plan. Likewise, we direct another luminous shaft of light toward humanity. So we bridge the higher to the lower in our light weaving of the planetary rainbow bridge. We bridge the higher to the lower in our light weaving of the planetary rainbow bridge. As members of the new group of world servants. And we hold the mind steady in the mind. As we ponder for a moment upon the theme of this conference, European unity toward global unification, inspired from this passage by the Tibetan. Workers increasingly will be drawn to Great Britain and to the continent of Europe. From the United States of America, the teaching must go out. But Europe is the field for the education of the world in the ideas of a true world unity and for the wise presentation of the plan. From that continent can the inspiration go forth to the east and the west. Europe is the field for the education of the world in the ideas of a true world unity. And for the wise presentation of the plan. From that continent can the inspiration go forth to the east and the west. And you might note in this beautiful painting here, picture of Count Saint-Germain, who is known as the Regent of Europe, also known as the Master Rakotsi, whose aid we invoke, and who works very closely with the one that we call the Christ. Count Saint-Germain, the Master Rakotsi, Regent of Europe. We visualize his connection to the one we call Lord Maitreya, or the Christ. And so now, during this global crisis, where a large part of it is focused in Europe, we direct our attention toward the triangle, Russia, Britain, and the USA, with which most of you are familiar. These are said to be the leading nations of the Aquarian dispensation to which we are moving, with the USA and Russia having Aquarius conditioning their soul nature. We recognize that Europe is the mother of the USA. We visualize the luminous points of a triangle, the souls of those nations, two of which are on the second ray of love wisdom, the indigo blue of love wisdom. USA and Britain, of course, the seventh ray soul of Russia, violet ray of ceremonial order. We see Geneva in the eye of the triangle, which we'll get to more detail about in a minute. Geneva, the heart center of the planet. That can synthesize these three nations. And so we invoke the assistance of the Devas, or the angelic kingdom, in their sacred ceremonial duties. These beings with which many of you are familiar, their important role in guiding and assisting humanity. Let us reflect for a moment on these great beings. And invite them into this meditation. So we visualize this vibrant energy continuously circulating around the three sides of the nation's triangle, creating harmony and balance. And let us hold this potent visualization for a minute, seeing the planetary heart center, Geneva, as the harmonizing eye within the triangle. And reflect upon, of course, the fact that USA and Russia are two great Aquarian souls whose Dharma is to lead humanity into the Aquarian age. So Geneva, the harmonizing eye within the triangle, planetary heart. And so we pour the light of our group soul through the three cities of these nations. New York City, its great symbol of the Statue of Liberty. London, with its well-known symbol of Big Ben. And Moscow, the old buildings, the old city. Nourishing them with the energy of love wisdom, which is the soul ray of the Western Hemisphere. Let's spend a moment visualizing pouring the energies of the group soul through these 3 points of this triangle that you can see. And as we do so, we note the increased vibrancy of the forces circulating around the nation's triangle. Britain, Russia, USA. And we ponder upon the mottos of these nations. USA, I light the way. Britain, I serve. Russia, I link two ways. And so now we return our attention to the planetary heart center, Geneva. This photograph here may give you a good visual. Geneva as a synthesizing center within the three nations triangle and for Europe as a whole. The eye in the triangle. So we see Geneva's mighty fountain as a symbol of its first ray soul and of spiritual aspiration reaching heavenward, of the blood that pumps powerfully through the planetary heart center. Geneva, a first ray soul and a second ray personality. And accordingly, we see Geneva's direct relation to hierarchy, who work directly through Darjeeling, and Geneva's relationship to the other planetary centers, London, New York City, Tokyo. We see these 5 planetary centers all connected all lighting up, the soul force circulating through them as it is radiated from the new group of world servers. So as we hold this visualization, we proceed to sound the great invocation to close this meditation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out. May it seal a door where evil dwells. Let light, love, and power restore the plan on earth. Lord, 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 Thank you very much, everyone. And now I'd like to introduce to you my dear friend, Gabbay from Germany, heart of Europe. She has been instrumental in helping to organize this conference through her connections with various groups and individuals who are presenting on our program. Uta is a true Aquarian when it comes to group work, and I hand it over to her now to say a few words and lead a brief meditation. Welcome, Uta. And you have a slide there, Mikhail. Or we leave it on the PowerPoint presentation. Uta might be having some difficulties connecting.
Now
There
it's
she
okay.
is.
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, Uta. Welcome.
Okay. Yes. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Good afternoon. I want to sound a note of unity. The theme of our conference, European Unity Towards Global Unification, holds actually these two complementing elements in it. Europe and the world on the one side, and unity and unification on the other. We want to shine a light on the world situation with Europe as a key. And also we want to learn and contribute to unity and unification. So during this conference, we will aim for a balance between these two aspects. As we will share the light of our best thought in the different presentations, let us also now, from the start, hold the intention of unity in our hearts. We are all familiar with the sentence, synthesis is. Unity must be achieved. And it must be achieved by facing conflict with heart and mind and will and courage, and consciously transform it into harmony. So this meeting of disciples from many different backgrounds, as we are working in concert for a higher order in Europe, this is really a precious and potent opportunity. And we can expect, as it always is, that we will manifest in the microcosm of our group here precisely this aspect of the world situation which we come here to address. So when we put unity on our flag, all that is not unity may rise up to be attended to. So over the course of the next 4 days, let us practice together that which we want to see in Europe and what humanity at large must learn: to transform conflict into creative tension. And as the fourth ray is coming in now, this will be increasingly a keynote and a key skill for all of us to master. Transform conflict into creative tension. And it is a skill and an art. Once we can hold our differences in a unified field of creative tension, we are open to a higher level of perception. Create this field, creative tension, and then this higher perception can descend on us. And also the cooperation with our ashramic co-workers becomes much more possible and tangible for us and for them, I suppose. So this is going beyond being nice to each other. It calls us to the constant effort to see each other as souls, as sincere disciples, who each of us holds an important part of the work, in spite of or even because we differ in our methods and our interpretations, and even our talking style. So let's take a moment to become aware of each other as souls. Let's visualize and sense the whole group, those who are now on the call and the other ones that are registered and that will join at later moments. Let us visualize, all of us, to stand together as souls. Let's become aware of this potency of this fact. Maybe take the opportunity to extend a soul greeting to someone with whom we may have some tensions and say a namaste. Recognizing each other's light, each other's sincerity, recognizing that we all share the same purpose underneath our outer diversity. So let us set the intention to find our way back to this high common ground, especially in moments when our patience or our acceptance is very much challenged. Let's take one more moment now to stand together in the will to love, no matter what. So now we are ready to embark on our mission. Thank you.